Alright guys, thanks for joining me again. Today we're going to be talking about the Zero Tolerance 0121 fixed blade knife. Alright, this has a nice, warm, special place in my heart. I actually carried this knife in a tour to Iraq, a 12-month tour. So this knife has literally been through hell and back, and it's been reliable for me. And it's one of those knives that I carried on my person every single day and for a whole year. So I really did put it to its test. Not so much in Iraq, although I did get some pretty good use out of it there, but not until I actually came back into the States did it really get put to some hard use out in the woods and doing other work like that. Alright, let's get into the specifications of this knife. First off, it's made in the USA, which is music to my ears. I love products that are made in the United States. I think it's just a warm and fuzzy feeling, I like it. So the steel is an S30V stainless steel. The handles are made of G10. The blade length on it is 5.25 inches, and the overall length is 8 inches. And it weighs 12.6 ounces with the sheath. So yeah, it's pretty heavy with the sheath. Without the sheath, it's only about 9.2 ounces. It did say the sheath is MOLLE compatible, but I don't know if I had a brain fart, but I couldn't get it onto the MOLLE gear. I did have to do some jerry rigging, and I did get it in there. But alright, let's look into the knife itself. First off, it's not your standard Kydex retention holster. It actually has a nylon and actually metal reinforced buckle, which you can see this one's pretty thrashed, that actually secures the knife into place. So that's pretty good. You get 2 levels of retention. Oh, you got a little critter on there. See this guy, let him live. Alright, sorry about that, just literally been using this knife pretty heavily today. So, anyways, here's the sheath. Again, we talked about that secondary retention strap, and that's always a good thing on sheaths, especially if you're going to be using these very actively. And then there you go. This is the actual belt attachment, and you just lift up on this tab, which is the same material as the retention strap on the front of the sheath, which is pretty nice. So it's not going to go anywhere, it's not going to break, it's really heavy duty stuff. No problem with this whatsoever, this Sportsman product belt clip, and use it quite extensively for my whole, well, a lot of my military career. I'm not going to say my whole career because it wasn't there from day one. But anyways, I digress. There you go, sheath. Pretty awesome, good construction, never let me down. I like it. Alrighty, and here we go. Here's the knife. Right off the bat, the Zero Tolerance line was originally made for law enforcement and military only. And correct me in the comments if I'm wrong, but I do believe that when they first released the Zero Tolerance line, it was only available to military or law enforcement. And I believe at the time that I bought this knife, this was the case. Okay, let's get into the actual knife. First off, look at the size. That's some pretty thick G10. And that really does add a lot of the weight that you feel onto the knife itself. Plus that hardware that's attaching the G10 on there adds a little bit of weight as well. But this is not a light knife. This knife is not light. So just get that out of your head. If you're looking for something that just feels, literally, if I ran out of ammo, I could beat somebody with this thing to unconsciousness. It's a hunk of steel, and it just feels really solid. Alright, one of the key features, I remember when they first started marketing this, they marketed that notch in the bottom to be able to cut det cord. And anybody that's actually ever done demolition knows that that's way too small to cut det cord. So, not happening. You're not going to cut det cord with this. 550 cord, yes. Fishing line, yes. Anything smaller than 550 cord that'll fit in there, yeah, it's pretty much going to take it out. Came razor sharp out of the box, but in the military I used quite a bit of 550 cord, so it dulled itself over the years. I need to touch it up. But the blade itself did give me a couple issues, and that was mostly to misuse and not so much abuse. So I did get a little bit of chips in the blade. I don't know if you guys can see that. There's a little bit of chipping, and I've been slowly trying to take it away. And this happened over the 12-month tour that I did have. So it did take quite a beating, and I'm sure I probably did something stupid. I just don't remember. But because I've never really chipped any of my other knives. So this S30V steel is supposed to be pretty strong stuff. So I really don't remember. It might have been, honestly, I really don't remember how I chipped it. But it did chip, so that is a possibility, as with any knife. Alright, I really do like the shape of the blade. On the belly, it's really good for batoning and chopping. Meanwhile, you have this little scoop right here and this little up curve, which is really good for skinning or, taking the bark off of limbs of trees and stuff like that. So I really do like the subtle curves in the blade, and I think they really paid attention to detail in doing that. So there you have it, the Zero Tolerance 0121. A lot of times people use a piece of paper to judge how sharp their knife is. Unfortunately, I don't go out in the outdoors with sheets of paper to test how sharp my knives are. So this is a great way of actually testing how sharp it is. And I had just gotten done sharpening the knife, so it was taking off the cleaning the branch pretty well. And now in the batoning, I looked for the most dense piece of wood that I can get my hands on. Not necessarily the thickest, but something that was extremely dense. And this one was it. It took me about a minute and a half of batoning at this pace to actually get through this branch. But it's just the type of wood that it really is. Nothing to do with the knife. But for something that's so small, I think that the 0121 actually did a pretty good job for being only 4.25 inches in blade length, and it actually did go through the pieces of wood there, and you'll see that it actually did it pretty cleanly as well. No jagged type of breaks or anything like that you'd get from a less dull knife, and you get a pretty clean break on this one. Now batoning was a breeze with this knife. It just went through like butter on these branches when I was batoning in this manner. And this is the same exact piece of wood, same density as the other one that I was having a little bit of trouble with before. And there you go. It'll actually light and ignite a ferro rod, and so it's a good survival knife. And here we go doing the sharpness test again, and it's passing with flying colors. It maintains a nice, good, sharp edge even after putting it through a little bit of abuse. Alright guys, thanks for watching.